Hey guys, you're listening to the Last Set podcast. A little bit of a different tune today. So usually we're always talking about fighting, and we might talk about it. We'll talk about it a little bit. Technically it's not really like MMA related because it's the Tyron Woodley Jake Paul thing that I'd like to get into. But then after that, let's just have a fucking chat about some. What we used to do is we used to do an MMA hour, used to do an everyday hour.
Yeah.
And an MMA hour, we'd talk about fight stuff, and then everyday hour, we'd talk about normal shit. And we haven't done that in a long time, so we might as well switch it up, a little bit of different pace and things like that. We always love to talk about whatever films, TV shows we enjoy, so...
Yeah, I mean, what we've turned into now is like, we've done this podcast for well over a year. We're hitting that one, we nearly hit 100 episodes, but... For both of us, in the space of like 3 months, our lives have pretty much dramatically changed. Like you've left uni, you got yourself a good job now. You know, I have a girlfriend now. I mean, I'm running my PT business pretty full on. I've left stripping now, so really, I just wanted to flow, man. Because the fact that we can just sit down and have a talk, and just be ourselves rather than just going off a checklist.
Well, how long were you doing the stripping thing for?
For 4 months, so 4 years. 4 years I did the stripping, and then what happened was I had my last show on August 21st. Spectacular night, and it was awesome. I had a great time. Girlfriend was there, and I just felt like you can pretty. I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but like if you could go back to when you were 18 years old, right? Your values are very, very different to when you were 18 years old to where you are today. Yeah. So when I started the job, so when I started with stripping, like what happened was I was 18 years old, didn't give a fuck. You were one of the first people I told. Fast forward 4 years to now that I'm 22, I've got a business. We've got this, which I've been dedicating as much as I can to it lately. And then you got a girlfriend. Dancing in the clubs on the weekend doesn't become really that fun anymore. You think more about just having a nice quiet night in. You think about your next client. You're not really thinking about your next show. So what happened was I gave the boss 1 month's notice. I said, thank you, man. It's been a blast. But I want to move on to new projects, dedicate more time to this. And really, that's what happened. And he said, all good. And then after giving it everything I got for the last 1 month, we literally did 3 big, massive shows. 2 of them away, 1 in Darwin. And then recently I came off a BJJ competition and then straight into the next show. And by the end of this last month, I just felt absolutely exhausted. Yeah. So that's what really would happen.
Because there's a lot of like commitment to it in terms of like rehearsals and that. You don't get paid for rehearsals. You just got to do a lot of dancing rehearsals to make sure everything's all like runs really smooth. Yeah, well that's correct. I mean, because the company that I work for, it was huge. The rehearsals were, they were full on, and then when it came to showtime, it was all worth it because that was the tier that we had to be in. And for me, it was just, I was holding on because the guys who I done it with were just so close to me. You know what I mean? So I feel like I really needed to ease out of it. Yeah. And that's really what was happening because I was doing a little bit, they were doing all these extra rehearsals. I was doing a little bit less. I was doing more podcasts. We're putting out like multiple episodes a week now, and I was getting a couple more clients, and it just got to a point where if you look at my value hierarchy, it wasn't up there anymore. Yeah, something I had to give. Yeah. Do you reckon you were probably one of the youngest guys there though? Yeah, no, I still am. I'm still the youngest guy there. Still the youngest guy. I don't believe I was the youngest ever to get into it, but put it this way. I was 18 and I only just been out of high school for 7 months when I started. Yeah. So that's pretty young. Like I was still getting asked for ID to go to my own shows, you know what I mean? And now, I've done so many shows and so many hours and dedicated so much into it. When you have done it for so long, you start to think about, okay, what's next, Yeah. Like with us, we're always talking about what's next. We want better equipment, we want better lighting, we want more views, more followers, more ads. That's what was next. Yeah. That's all. Anyway, and so now this last week for me, I've just chilled. Yeah. I mean, I haven't done any
interviews. I haven't done any Zoom calls or anything like that. I've done a little bit less on clients, and I just felt like I needed a week to recharge. That was all.
Yeah. What do you do when you're recharging though?
I just backed off the pace of everything. So
because you got a busy schedule, like myself, and like we both juggle a lot of shit, like going like working out and for like physical health, and then with like whatever brings us in money, like my job in sales and yours is in personal training. Although I stopped PTing, by the way. Stopped PTing last week.
You're not PTing anymore?
Last week I stopped doing personal training.
How come?
Just it was very like because I was PT kind of started off as like your part-time work, and then it became more of a full-time job, and then I was doing a lot of it was like mobile PTs, plus I was like working in a gym, and I was also working for myself, and it was not bad how it was going, but that gym started to die a little bit, and I can't mention the name of the gym though, but they said literally like, we might give you a higher position, Jack, but I need you to know that if we don't get this gym up within like the time that we like, well, I don't know if we'll like. Essentially, I'm not too sure if I'll have a job.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean? Because so they might have to go a different way. And I'm like, that's sick. I think I'll look at other avenues. So, and then I looked more into just doing like normal mobile PT, and that's what I was doing. And I worked for a really good mobile PT company as well as for myself. Mm-hmm. And
what was the name of the mobile? Oh no, I can't ask you that.
No. So they were over in the eastern states though, but they branched out, and I was like the first. I was the first PT they had here in Western Australia.
Really?
Yeah, I was the first, and I must have been working for them for like 6 or 7 months. So it was for a good bit, and then I was doing my own mobile PT, and I really enjoyed it because it gave me a bit of flexibility and stuff like that. But then when I got into my full-time role, and then I was doing PT on the side, got very difficult for me to do both. So basically I had to start chipping away at how many clients I had, and then it slowly became just one client. And I was like, okay, he's got so many weeks left in his contract. I'll finish that. I'll let him know, and then I'll be off. And he was a good bloke. He was like, yeah, he was trying to like finesse his way into like, you know, maybe another 10 weeks, maybe, because he
really,
because he really wanted. He was like, "Oh, you're telling me now?" Because we got on real well, and he said, "Oh, can you at least write me a program?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course I can." He was like, how much will it cost me? I went, "It's free. I'm leaving. It's fine." And he was like, "Oh no, I'll get you a carton." And I was like, yeah, about that. I don't accept alcohol as I don't really drink, so I don't really accept alcohol as payment like most Aussies. That's what happens. Like if like you ever see like stuff on Marketplace or Gumtree, they'll be like, "Oh, this," or if you slab me a slab. Yeah. Exactly. You give me a slab and I'll be happy, and that's how a lot of Aussies work here. But I'm not used to that. I'm not a drinker, so I'm literally like, "Nah, you can keep your card." And mate, I'll give you $50. So I got a 50 that for something I would have done for free anyway. So
yeah, actually glad you brought that up. Like I had a situation like that just recently. Actually, I was selling my gym equipment because when we had the last lockdown, I couldn't get access to it. So I thought to myself, what was the point?
Yeah.
And there was this guy that I met. If you're listening to this, because I told him to listen to the podcast, his name's Sean. Sean, shout out to you, man. I sold my Swiss bar, right, and I put it up on Gumtree for $100, and I thought it was for $200, you know.
Oh yeah.
And then he rocked up to the place, and then I said, "Oh man," and he rocked up straight away. It was like on the day.
Well, what bar was it? Just a normal
the Swiss bar, you know, the neutral grip bar, the football bar.
Yeah.
You know the one I'm talking about. Yeah. So because it's my favorite bar, by the way, and he rocked up like within a day of seeing the ad, and then he shows up to the house, and then I was like, he was a really nice guy. I was asking him why he wanted it. He said he had like pains in his like elbow, you know, like golfer's elbow, and he was like just from doing pull-ups. And I was really, And then, we done a little bit of work in rehab, and I thought I was giving him some tests, and I was just quickly testing it out. I just thought he was a really nice guy and all. So I gave him a 5 kilo plates and the collars, and I said, he goes, how much for? And I was like, 200. He's like, on the ad it said 100, even though I just given him the collars and weights with it. I was like, oh no. And I was like, whatever, man, you can just take it. He goes, you know what, mate? Yeah, I see what you're doing. I like you. I'm going to give you some money just for the collars and for the plates. And I said, man, look, it's all cool. And I was like, man, honestly, you seem like good. Let me help you out here, And I was like, okay. And then he said, how much? And I was like, look, mate, for the collars, for the weights, just an extra $20, really. Next day, open up the account. He gives me $50.
Really?
Yeah. And I honestly thought, like, that was just so nice and so severe. I kept in contact with him. I said, look, man, I know you live south of the river. If you ever pass the UFC gym one day, we say names, but if you ever pass my gym one day, come down. I will sort you out. I'll give you a session and I'll help you out, whatever you need.
Yeah.
And it's like, it was just, honestly, it was just a moment of the kindness of strangers does exist. You know what I mean? And I sent him a message saying, honestly, man, good people are hard to find these days. So thank you. Yeah.
Still got a fucking $50 discount regardless, but good shit.
Yeah, either way.
A lot of people wouldn't do that stuff. A lot of them wouldn't do that
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah. Because I've had a nightmare of like doing that kind of stuff. And it's a nightmare when it comes to that sort of thing.
People are stingy as fuck on Gumtree and Marketplace though.
Mm-hmm. I'm on my 4th car. I know exactly how it is. Like, you put a car up for 4, fuck, you're getting $850 fucking offers and shit. Or would you swap for a fucking, I don't know, it'll be like a fucking, I don't know, it'll be like a commie ute that has like bush chook in the back or something, and it like, and they're like, yeah, swaps. I'm like, no. $500 your way? No.
You read those people that just sell a car and it's already broken down, like,
oh yeah, it'll be unregistered and things like that, and they'll be like, oh, it should be easy to register it. Why don't you do it then?
Yeah,
it would be worth more. They know it's not. Yeah. Like, it's so bullshit. And like, you'll see, because I'm looking at a new car now, and then I'm like, well, this is cheap, and then I'll read the end and I'm like, oh fuck, it's got problems.
Yeah,
and then I'll look at the problems and they'll be like, oh, but it's such a good car. I'm like, you can't drive it.
You can't actually start.
It's not worth $7,000. It starts. It won't move. It's useless. It's a fucking. You could use it as a lamp. You could turn on the headlights. It's a lamp. That's all it is. Like, that's shit. That's all it is.
That's pretty funny.
So I'm like, okay, because when I look at it, it's usually like a gearbox problem or something like that. Because I'm looking at Euro cars. You could be careful about transmission issues with them, because Euro tax, it'll be double what it usually is for like your normal Japanese car.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it, I'm like, fuck, I can only imagine how expensive it is to fix this car if you've put this up for like $7,000. Because I'm like, fuck, that's a ripper deal. Yeah. And then I read it and I'm like, okay, so it's a useless car.
Yeah, it's just something that someone's trying to get rid of quickly and just get a little bit of money out of.
So it's their liability that they're trying to get off. But like a car that doesn't move, its only use is a lamp or maybe a
sound system.
Yeah, that's it. That's all. That's or a heater.
Well, yeah.
Or an air conditioning unit. Like you don't have aircon in your house, jump in your car. That's all that would be useful for.
Yeah, you can just strip that thing and sell it for parts, really, I'm pretty sure.
That's what a lot of people will do. They'll just strip it, but it's like, and then they'll just sell the shell, which is basically just scrap.
Yeah.
But the only way that you make good money from that is if the demand for the car itself is already quite high. Like if it's like a classic car or if it's something like a high-end sports car, you can strip that and make more money than it's worth than if it's unregistered. Yeah. But if as soon as you see it's unregistered, you're like, I'm okay, thanks.
Nah,
but people these days will still ask for like 25 grand. I had that the other day. I was like, oh yeah, how much is this? Because I quite like the Japanese sports cars and that. And he was like, $25,000. I'm like, cool. Is it registered? No. Oh, okay. So I'm buying an unregistered vehicle for $25,000 that you can't. Oh, it's easy to register, bro. Well, why haven't you done it? Be worth more. You want 25 grand? The fucking cheek.
You know what I think's funny as well is those people that you know, they start a car project, like they're going to build a car in their garage.
Yeah.
They never finish that car. They never, ever finish
a lot of the time they say, oh, I had this list of things that I'm all going to do. My dad built a fucking car. He built the fucking Ford Escort.
Yeah.
He did that from a shell. I pushed the shell off the trailer for him.
Really?
And he put it in there, and he built the car within like 8 months.
See, that's the thing though. Your dad's very, very handy though. I'm talking about those people that have like jobs going on and they have the car as a side project and they're not super, super skilled in building cars. You know what I mean? They
like cars. They're hell into it. They just don't have the expertise.
Exactly.
And then
they don't like it enough to build their own. They just want to show it off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's also like with a car, like you'll probably have like, I can only imagine how many mental breakdowns my dad probably had and how many walls he's probably put a hand through. Like, you know what I mean? Like shit like that. Nah. I like, fuck no. I wouldn't want to build a fucking car. No, if the engine blew a hole in the side of the engine block, I'd just go, nah, I'm going to go take that to I'm not doing that. Because the amount of like heartache, it might be cheaper for you to do it yourself.
Yeah.
But the fucking emotional stress of you going, fuck, where's the tool set? And like, it doesn't work and everything breaks. Yeah, fuck no. No. So the people that probably still have their car in the unregistered car in their garage and like, oh yeah, she'll be a beaut in 6 years. Like, they'll never do it because they've probably tried it, had a go.
Yeah.
Had a little bit of success. Met failure and went, fuck this. I'm going to go have a beer. And that was all they did.
Exactly. They'd probably try that for a while. Yeah. I mean, God forbid today, you know, I mean, if you do end up building it, like don't be afraid to ask for help. Like get some people over, you know, get some people, you know, on your own. A lot of car guys expertise in it. Yeah.
A lot of car guys do that. Like they'll just come over and they're so into cars. They'll just come over and they'll hang out. Like the car guys are such good people.
You know, one thing, yeah, that's true. But one thing I never really understood was like the purpose of, I'm not a car guy. I know you are, but I never understood the purpose of car meets. It is, I swear to God, to me, car meets are the biggest dick measuring contests I've ever seen.
I love a good car meet. Yeah.
I just like you go to a car meet and these guys just trying to show off how flashy their car is. Or mine's more flashy, and I'm just like,
it's more like you go out with your mates, and it's not so much car meets. It's more the cruise that you guys. It's not so much the meet because the meet sometimes the real dick measuring contest is when the people actually like some people will just have their car there and they'll stand out front. They go, oh, that's a nice car. The real dick measuring contest is when the people have some people because they think their car is fucking sick and look what modifications I've done, big turbo, whatever.
Yeah,
they'll put up their bonnet and everyone's meant to go and walk over and like it's that's the real dick measuring contest because then like they'll be like, yeah, I spent 5K on that and like that's the real
like for me as a person, as like a business owner as well. A car is a liability, you know what I mean? It's a massive liability. Like my car that I got out the front, like, oh man, I hate that I have to look forward to the car payment every month. And, you know, I got to make sure I'm working enough to make sure I can make the car payment on top of my bills. Like when people say to me, oh yeah, go out and spend 5K on the exhaust. I'm like, mate, if I had 5K, I'd pump that into the business so I can get more money out of it. I'd pump that into this podcast so I can get money. I would not put it towards that car. You know what I mean? Unless I was paying it off quicker with a flexible loan, which I'm not. So that's why. Yeah. You know? And
I don't know. But a car guy doesn't think that though. Car guy thinks miles per gallon. That's what they think.
Yeah.
They don't care that in one of those car meets you were talking about, they probably fucking have to fill up the car like maybe one or two times. Because they're fucking flying and they're thrashing it. And they don't care. They don't care because it's miles per gallon. That's what makes them happy. And like working on a car helps them. It's like something that they can concentrate on. It's something that it's like what like most guys like is football for them. Yeah. And talking and going to the pub and shit like that. They wouldn't see the point of going to the pub and drinking piss and like even watching fights.
Yeah.
But fucking cars are their fucking thing. And they see $3,000, fuck, I'll do that right there. Me, myself, I'm a little bit more reserved. I can't see myself spending that much money on, especially on cosmetic shit. People spend all kinds of amount of money on cosmetic stuff. But yeah, it's just, it's crazy. There's weird car people.
Yeah, if you look at it from an unbiased perspective, you know, everyone has the right to spend. It's their money. Spend it on what you want, you know. It's just we all got different mindsets. We tend to judge each other for each other's actions. We're being ignorant of our own, you know. it's just a way it goes. Yeah, but again, for me personally, I can't see myself spending much money on a car. However, anyway, to change the subject, there's one really, really cool thing I've been dying to talk to you about.
What's that?
Spider-Man trailer just dropped. Did you watch it?
I did. I watched it when it got leaked.
Me too.
On that fucking little dingy
hopefully we
phone.
didn't incriminate ourselves right there.
It was fucking everywhere. It was
Yeah,
on
I know.
Instagram, it was on YouTube, it was on Twitter, it was everywhere.
How the hell did it get leaked that quickly?
It must have been it was a recording of a recording.
Yeah.
It was someone's Instagram story.
Yeah.
And then someone recorded that Instagram story.
Correct. Yeah.
So whoever's been there, maybe there must have been like a screening for all the employees. They must have filmed it because it wasn't like good.
It was really shit quality.
It was really shit quality, right? And then someone filmed that, which made it even worse. And then you watch on your crappy phone.
Yeah.
Watching someone else watch it on their crappy phone.
Filming someone
filming it on a crappy phone. So it looked dog shit.
It did.
But
and then I watched the original. I was like, oh, so it was a trailer because it was so bad. Actually, it's like that
the day after they just dropped it, they were like, "Fuck it."
Well, apparently they weren't even supposed to drop the trailer.
No, they weren't because it's meant to. The Spider-Man movie is supposed to come out in December. So to drop a trailer for that is very early.
Yeah, August. I mean, yeah, it's because we're August right now, so we got September, October, November. We still got roughly 4 months to go.
That's way too long.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, then again, James Bond got delayed, and that trailer's been out for well over a year, and then they dropped another one like a few months ago. So
true, but I assume.
And it still doesn't come out to the end of the year.
But sometimes that means they've done a trailer before the COVID thing hit.
Yeah.
And then they've got to do post-production. Like how... what was one that they had to do? It
was Black Widow. They laid
Black
that.
Widow, yeah. I watched Black Widow, actually. We'll talk about that in a bit. But the Spider-Man one was cool because there was a lot of rumors that we were going to see the other, like, Spider-Man, like Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. And to be honest, I must say, I don't think Andrew Garfield gets enough love. I really like those Spider-Man movies. I don't give a fuck. I know Tobey Maguire, that's like the OG. Everyone will be, like, they'll watch those movies. So if you were watching Tobey Maguire, because they actually came out when we were growing up, right?
2004, I think the first Spider-Man was dropped.
Yeah, we thought they were all right, but we thought it was a bit corny and a bit... And then... Now you watch back on it now, and because it's the first Spider-Man and now we're on the third Spider-Man, everyone goes, that's the OG Spider-Man, da-da-da. But they're quite corny movies. They're very good in terms of, like, how it goes in comics instead of things. But it's the corny writing is so, like, ugh.
I mean, you keep seeing that Harry Osborn meme going around.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and you see the Spider-Man meme of Peter Parker dancing in the street, you know, the black suit from the third one. You know, but then again, I like the corniness. You know, there's a reason why that should be accepted because again, it is a comic book movie. You know,
True.
But again, they were trying to. And it was the beginning of its time. It was there for its time. You know, they had something to build on. But then again, this new Spider-Man that's coming out, like they keep saying, oh. Apparently, it was rumored and the photos were leaked of Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire were on set, you know. But then again, I'm like thinking to myself, after we've had Loki, WandaVision, and, you know, What If, they're exploring the universe, you know, the multiverse.
Yeah.
And
it becomes more and more likely that it could be real.
Yeah. Exactly. But there's also in the trailer, they noticed that there's a suit that Tom Holland, Peter Parker is wearing. It's the same suit as the Tobey Maguire one was wearing.
Right.
So their other idea is that it's not going to be Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. It's going to be variants of the Tom Holland Spider-Man.
Perhaps.
In different universes because there was that. And then there was the thing they noticed with Doctor Strange. Apparently he looked like he had the time stone again when he lost it to Thanos.
That was the, what do you call it? I can't remember what it's called. I can't remember the Eye of Okamoto or whatever it is.
Something like that,
But that is what held the time stone. He never
Yeah.
used the time stone to do what happened in the trailer.
Mhm.
So I think it's just a prop. I don't think it really has. A lot of people are thinking, oh, does it still have the... I don't think they do. Because if it makes sense for the other parallel universe to have their stones around, but the Earth One or whatever you're going to call it, in that universe, those stones are destroyed.
Yeah.
So you don't really have to worry about that being a thing. I think it's cool. I really do want to see the different Spider-Man because we know Electro is coming, was already confirmed to be in that.
Really?
Yeah, that was confirmed ages ago. So Jamie Foxx, he'll be in that.
I didn't know that. Well, I knew that Dr. Octopus was back and it was confirmed in the trailer.
Well before that, Electro was said to be in this. So Electro's in there, who is the villain of Amazing Spider-Man 2. And then you've got...
apparently...
Doc Ock
was in it. The Green Goblin Ball rocked up.
We saw that, yeah.
Apparently also Lizard is in it. People slowed the trailer right down. There was like a figure they thought was Lizard.
I thought I'd seen a little bit of that, yeah.
Yeah, and apparently Sandman's in it as well.
Okay, so you're getting all the ones from the Tobey Maguire series as well as the Andrew Garfield series as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then plus, so that means it blends all together. And then they had the return of Tom Holland's, the Iron Spider was back in it.
Yep, saw that, yeah.
And there was one more key part. Like, do you remember in Spider-Man 2 there was that train scene?
Yes.
And then there was a moment where
Joey Diaz was in there.
Yeah, that's what I was like. It's hilarious because I thought it was funny. I didn't because I used to watch Spider-Man 2 all the time, and then I remember watching it one time. And I was like, "Holy shit, Joey Diaz!" I didn't know, and then I kept seeing all these Joey Diaz memes about it. It's like,
you're gonna have to go through me.
Yeah. And then it's like transitions to on like him telling the story to Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, let you tell me something, dog. I told that octopus motherfucker, if you want to get to Spider-Man, son of a bitch, you're gonna have to go through me. I felt like if they could just let him back in that movie, just to do that one part again, I wouldn't mind it. You know,
I want to see a Joey Diaz cameo in the new Spider-Man. That's what I want to see.
Oh man. That would be fucking brilliant.
It'll blow everyone's mind, to be fair. So we got a few different villains coming in the new Spider-Man movie. It's No Way Home, right?
Yeah.
So it must be... So the way the storyline looks like it's tracking is he's unhappy that that his identity has been put out there.
Yeah.
I don't want to sneeze.
Bless
me.
Yeah.
His identity is basically just leaked to the entire world, and then he can't really go back to his normal high school life. He's tried to, but it's put a lot of pressure on his family. Mm-hmm. Although it looks like he said like, so it must be MJ.
Yeah.
So he's with MJ, and obviously they've grown because they've gone through all this stuff. But he goes, well, enough is enough. I don't want it to be like this, and asks for Strange's help. It looks like Strange does some form of spell to affect reality in which that never happened.
Yeah.
And then...
Wong was like, don't cast that spell.
And then it causes something completely different out there.
So it all started with Doctor Strange just wanting to fix his hands. Now he's got to fix the entire multiverse.
Yeah.
But I like how it's all linking in together.
Yeah, they do quite good with their writing and things like that to make everything woven in quite well. You
know, they're linking Loki and WandaVision and Spider-Man now all together for the multiverse. But we had this discussion one time we were doing apparently the last podcast where in the final episode of Loki, there's a moment where Kang the Conqueror, he obviously you can't see this for the audio, but he looks across and he looks back and then he goes, we just crossed the threshold. Now, I thought... that was when Wanda and Agatha Harkness were fighting, and then Wanda gained her full power. But apparently that wasn't the case. You told me that. It was debunked.
Yeah, it was debunked, but it could be anything, to be fair.
So what do you think it is? Because then again, maybe what if that was the moment when Strange fucked up the multiverse?
Yeah, it could be because since that kind of kicks off the whole, it must be Phase 4 that they're doing now, right? That would be kicking. Oh, is it Phase 4 or Phase 5 now?
Fuck, beats me, mate.
I'm going to say Phase 4 anyway, but that's them setting up the new Phase 4 movies and things like that. I think that's where Spider-Man sets all this stuff off because then it goes into the multiverse of madness and all those different movies. So, which we expected to see the Scarlet Witch in anyway. In Doctor Strange, that was confirmed.
Yeah.
So it's kind of set everything up. But I really like that. In similar Spider-Man movies like that, and the animated one, Into the Spider-Verse, that explored different versions of like Spider-Man as well and things like that, as well as like, you know, is it Spider-Man 3022 who's in a different form and he comes back.
Yeah.
So all these it's not the first time they've ever done parallel universes where different Spider-Man interact with each other. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that they have Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. I know they were on set, but then, you know, fans can be quite upset with they expect really great things, but it could really just be a 10-second thing. It really could be like, do you remember in Deadpool, was it Deadpool 2?
Yeah.
They were expected to have like cameos of all the X-Men, and then Deadpool opens up one of the doors and it's all of them in there. It's all the different it's all the different X-Men in the new era of the X-Men movies, and then they close it. And that's all it was. Yeah. Everyone was so hyped up, but it was only a 5-10 second clip. Yeah. So I hope that no one gets their hopes up too high, but I hope and that's also a bit hypocritical because I actually just hope they do something well with it. And it looks like they will, because if they've got the villains from these other universes,
exactly,
they should get the heroes from those universes as well.
They could play with that idea that the two Spider-Men bump into each other while they're Peter Parker, like Peter Parker walks down the street and bumps into Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker, or I don't know, something along those lines. But one thing I've learned as well when it comes to trailers is you can't be too attached to it, even though everyone was so attached to that Spider-Man trailer, because it got the most amount of views in the 24-hour period.
Yeah.
And which I thought was impressive. But like, they did it with Endgame. Endgame, they had such a short trailer and you barely knew anything about the movie when it happened. So it's the same thing with the Batman movie. They've only 25% complete, but they released a trailer for it, but now it's finished filming, which is awesome. Yeah, I mean, so I am just open to all ideas. I'm not sticking myself to one idea when it comes to this. I'm trying not to get too involved, because then again, I do have high expectations for the movie because, you know, I feel like Marvel is going really, really hard lately.
They're doing really well.
But I still feel like Spider-Man's like their biggest card.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's always been everyone's fucking heart.
Yeah, exactly. Fair. And, you know, I mean, Black Widow, great movie. But in terms of like character attachment, she's not got much to go on.
No.
Spider-Man, I think, was the original Marvel
underdog.
Underdog. I think he was one of the very first, and he was the most beloved by Stan Lee. He was his finest creation, you know, so that kind of makes a little bit more sense. But then again, I've got to say, Marvel's gone so fucking hard this year. I mean, Shang-Chi comes out next week.
Really?
Yeah,
next week?
September 2nd.
Oh, fuck, I want to see it. Before we talk about Shang-Chi, I want to know, what are you thinking about this What If series that's now on Disney+? What are you thinking?
I've watched one episode.
I've watched 3.
I'm just... Look, don't get me wrong.
The first one's a bit meh.
I'm just not that interested. I'm just not that interested. I mean, I will watch the T'Challa one, where he becomes Star-Lord.
Yeah. But
it doesn't follow like the main plot of everything. It's not tied into the actual movies themselves. That's why I'm not that interested. Yeah. Because you don't need to watch it. It just toys with that idea. It's like an extra series.
Yeah.
I mean, hats off to them, but it's not, you know, it's important to me. I've watched a couple of other TV shows lately, but I know that the first one is about Peggy Carter if she becomes Captain America, basically. And Steve becomes an Iron Man, I believe.
What?
Steve Rogers gets like an Iron Man suit, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah.
The second one is about T'Challa if he becomes Star-Lord, and Thanos if he never took over the universe, you know. It was diverted from that. I don't know what the third episode is about, though.
Third one is... So basically it's the Avengers Initiative at the very start. Like right before the Avengers Initiative like takes place, and it's from like the position of S.H.I.E.L.D. when they're like recruiting everyone, and basically like Tony Stark dies and etc., and a bunch of the different Avengers start getting killed before they ever become an Avenger.
Really?
And they have to kind of work out who's killing it. Yeah. It's not a bad one. Actually, like, the first one is a bit basic.
Yeah.
Like, it's a bit basic with, like, Peggy Carter becomes, not Captain America, but it would be, what, Captain Britain? I don't know. And there's very little to look at. Although I did like that, you might not have picked up on it, but so Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., one of the big bads was that tentacle monster. That actually controlled, it was an alien that the tentacle thing that came out using the Tesseract? They were fighting against near the end of the first episode of What If.
I vaguely remember it, but go on.
Right, that was actually a villain in the Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show, and it was much better done when it was not animated, but it would control people, and it came over from one planet, not mistakenly, but on accident, and then started controlling people and worked its way through S.H.I.E.L.D. and things like that. So it was cool how they also played with an entirely different TV show and brought that into that. So they're being very smart with their writing, and I like it. The whole What If series, I get what you mean. It's like cool, but you can't get invested in it because it doesn't follow the storyline, and there's no episode after it that continues that said storyline. It doesn't go with the normal field like a Shang-Chi, the recurring Spider-Man movies and things like that. It's basically just like it's a cool animated spin-off to see.
Yeah. People like the line, they like to explain everything, they like the storyline, they like how each movie builds up to the other. It's like the Eternals. Like the Eternals comes out, I don't know when it comes out, but I think it comes out the end of...
It was delayed for so long. It was supposed to come out, last year?
Really?
Yeah, because that's why that... you remember that Kumail Nanjiani?
Yeah.
Nanjiani?
Yeah. He got super jacked for that role.
Super steroids.
It was on that sauce.
He's still on the sauce. You can look. He's got that HGH kind of look to him.
His jaw's
he's all
square,
sucked out, and his jaw is overly done. And he's fucking sauced to the gills. He is.
Yeah, that's
he
true.
says, I only eat cake once a year or whatever. I'm like, yeah, and you also take a gram of test, dude.
Yeah. It's not even that, but he used to take the piss out of working out, saying it's to do with toxic masculinity, and then...
He's probably fucking toxic waste with fucking. He's the fucking Hulk now. He's enjoying it. He's enjoying his own steroid gamma rays or something.
Yeah, I think the base for the movie looks interesting, but I hope they're going to answer the whole question: why didn't they interfere during Thanos? Why haven't they interfered throughout history? Which is kind of interesting because I remember I watched this TV show that was very, very similar to the Eternals called Jupiter Rising, or something like that.
Oh, Jupiter's Ascending. Was that it?
Jupiter's Ascending, Jupiter's Rising. I can't remember who's in it, but it toys with that idea of these guys and the superheroes, and they didn't interfere throughout history because they had the rules and not going to interfere. But it's in a world where they're all celebrities and stuff, and one guy's trying to keep control of his family, and his family's breaking down. It was really good. Eternals kind of gives me that vibe, you know what I mean? Because they're all never aging. They're all together.
Yeah.
They all get their powers some mystic way, and they don't interfere with human conflict and all that, and that's their rule. So there's a lot of similarities between the two. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I like the actors that were in it. I mean, especially one of the guys from Game of Thrones. Forget his name, but he needs a redemption arc after what happened to him in Game of Thrones and what happened to Game of Thrones in general. And Angelina Jolie's in it, so she finally gets a superhero role that everyone's kind of been begging for. I mean, I want to know how also does it tie into other movies, and then are we going to keep seeing the Eternals down the line?
I don't really see it. The Eternals aren't super interested in, to be honest. It's like a cool Marvel show, I reckon, to watch, but I don't think they'll ever use it in further timelines. Maybe in because for Marvel to continue to do these movies and not stop after Endgame, it means they want to set up another Endgame that's bigger than Endgame, if that makes sense. So like,
what could be bigger than that?
They'll do something. They'll have to fight some form of Celestial, which is why they're.
I think they're setting up Galactus for that.
That was who they'd have to do, and they'd have to. That's why they showed the Kree in space and all things like that, and Nick Fury on a spaceship and all things like that. So and Sword. So it's not Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. anymore. It's called Sword now. So that's what it's most likely going to go to. So for them to continue to make these movies after Endgame, it means they want to set something even bigger. Obviously, make even more money, duh. But make something that's even bigger than Endgame. And essentially, I don't know if Eternals ties into it. I think the rest of them all do. I think Shang-Chi goes into it and everything. But I don't know if Eternals probably doesn't feed into any other movies, but maybe that very last big one at the end of that timeline. Because, I mean, we'd have to watch it to see who's in it, but I don't think there's any cameos in it. If they don't really engage in human history, then I don't know if they'll engage in the next big movie, you know what I mean? So it might be just a one and done, to be honest.
Could be.
It could be.
I mean, I think they just love team movies and they just want to have one of those.
That there is quite a few big questions around that because the trailer doesn't give too much on a story arc, to be honest. It kind of just shows you the faces and maybe a few of the powers, but it doesn't really give you the timeline. It doesn't really give you like who is the big bad and who is and what's their thing. It doesn't really give you a who, what, why, or how. And to be honest, that's not a bad thing. Because like speculation is always good for movies, and that's what's good about like the Spider-Man movie because they've shown very little, and that's good. It is a teaser trailer, but they've shown very little, just like Endgame, like you said, because speculation's fucking brilliant. Mm-hmm. Endgame had the smallest trailer ever, and it was a 3-hour fucking movie, and everyone had speculation, everyone was doing tons of breakdowns and explanation videos in order to be. Which just built to the hype. Yeah. So I think the Eternals might be completely different. We just don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't believe there'll be any crazy cameos, but all I can say is it's been a great year for superhero movies. Like how these Marvels and DC made the Suicide Squad. Did you see, by the way?
No, I can't get in. No.
It was really, really good. It was really good. It was only 15. As well. That's why I loved it.
I just don't know if I want to watch it. Like the last one and I think there was Birds of Prey or something. I never watched that.
Well, because they had James Gunn and it was just, oh man, the way they actually take the piss out of all the other movies and they rewrite everything. I feel like you would have liked it as well because you kind of like that more realistic stuff. Yeah. And that's, I mean, honestly, if you just go and see it yourself, but I was so impressed. They did King Shark so much justice.
Yeah.
There were some big surprises in that movie too that I was like, wow, really? They introduced us to Starro as well, which I was kind of waiting for him to see on the big screen.
Right.
And then they also reintroduced us to the Thinker. Uh-huh. And also there were a lot of things that happened in the movie you just wouldn't expect. And you forget that this is actually a superhero movie sometimes. You feel like it's actually just like a different movie, period. It's very, very different to most superhero movies.
Right.
Anyway. There's one more thing I have to bring up now because, it's relevant to the last podcast and all. Jake Paul's crew disrespecting Tyron Woodley's mama.
Everyone going to go beat him up now.
Everyone's going to go beat that kid up.
I was watching those, like, there was a sit-down as well. I don't know if you saw it today, but there was a sit-down with Ariel Helwani.
I watched about 15 minutes of it.
You missed, like, the last... Because it was, like, around the 18-minute markers when they were talking a bit of shit. But,
okay.
Yeah, it was just like Tyron full on.
He's not the best trash talker in the world, is he?
No, but he did really well against Jake in that sit down, though.
Yeah?
Yeah. Jake was fucking stunned. He had no idea what was
okay, break
on.
it down to us. How so?
Because he's saying, look, who in your neighborhood wears those chains? Who dresses like you? You're calling me, oh, I'm a fake gangster. Well, what are you? You're stealing our culture and who dresses like you? And then Jake is just fucking like, He literally does. He had his mouth wide open.
And then he's talk about, I'm going to clap them cheeks. I'm just like,
Yeah, that was weird. But that's what Jake is trying to. He's just trying to fucking troll and take the piss. I think Woodley's doing fine because Woodley actually like went forwards a little bit and Jake retreated, and I was like, oh, okay. It looks like I don't know. They got asked the questions about PED use and things like that, which was interesting. I thought it was really funny that he said straight away, "No, sir." Like he'd rehearsed it. Have you taken PEDs? No, sir.
What? Jake Paul?
Yeah.
Apparently there's a rumor flying around that he's...
Well, everyone was like, it started from Faraz Sahabi. So Faraz Sahabi said, well, I don't think they're doing testing. So if they're not 100%, Jake will be on PEDs. Because it was suspect about Logan, because Logan, even Chael Sonnen, he said, I reckon Logan's on PEDs. When he fought Floyd, because he didn't get tested. So if Jake versus Tyron isn't getting, and they're not getting tested, yes, again, like Jake is 24 years old. I don't think he needs any help, but I
don't buy it though.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, you know, it wasn't that long ago. Like Bado Jack, his opponent, you know, he got that person tested the second time they were supposed to fight, and he popped. And that's a world-class boxer. So, you know, it's not uncommon for a lot of people in boxing to get popped for... Because you have to apply for that. You have to apply for your opponent to get tested and yourself. So, do you not think Jake would do everything he could to beat Tyron? Maybe.
Probably has to.
But to be fair, he's 24. Does he really need the help? Like... physiologically, probably not. Probably hormones are fine.
One thing I've got to respect though is the ascension of Jake in the last 7 years.
Fast. Yeah. Let's just at least the last 3.
Yeah.
Big
Ever
jump.
since that fight with Deji, the kid's on something of a streak. That I've got to give him respect to. Look, people are saying to me, you know, people are asking me, "What's your take for the fight?" I don't have one now. I
used to not, now I have one.
Okay. I'll go first. The reason why I have one is because I know we've always watched Tyron Woodley. I've watched Tyron Woodley for years. I know he can crack. I know he can smack. You know, and he's a phenomenal wrestler, phenomenal BJJ black belt. You know, smacks around world class kick fighters. But then again, this is boxing, and Jake Paul has definitely gone up a lot better. And you said it yourself in one podcast. You reckon Jake was better than Logan?
100%.
Yeah, you know, sometimes I watch his footage, I try not to get too tapped into it, but like, there's something about Jake Paul that he responds to in terms of pressure. He knows that everyone wants to see him fail. He knows that everyone wants to see him go down, and that's why he dials everything to 1,000. And he's ascended very quickly in these last 3 years, and he's focused on just that one goal in mind. So, thinking about it now, I would like Jake Paul to win. So I would like yeah, I don't know.
You like Jake to win?
I ate my words, man. I ate my words in those.
That was against Ben.
Yeah, I know it was Ben, but the thing is, Ben just. I was so ignorant and blind.
No, it wasn't ignorant. We knew Ben sucked. But
we didn't admit it.
No, we said Ben sucked. We just thought Jake sucks more than Ben.
Yeah.
And that just turned out not to be the case. Also,
boy, were we wrong.
But the thing is, Ben was a bit stupid as well. Like, all right, so Ben fell for the oldest trick in the book.
Yeah.
Fucking hit to the belly. Looked like you're about to hit to the belly, hit to the head. He got dropped right away, and that was it. Yeah. That's all it took.
I think oh man, like it's weird, but something's going on in my head saying, you know, you got to learn. But I love Tyron. I'll tell you about my words. I don't hope to win, but the way that I see it, I kind of feel like he's going to win. But if Tyron wins, it's going to be the downplay of Jake Paul. But then again, if Tyron beats him, I'll gain even more respect for Jake Paul, because now when you look at it from an unbiased perspective, what he's doing is great. You know, he's bringing back into boxing. You know, believe it or not, it's put it this way, people say it's an embarrassment on the sport. It's a black eye, takes away from all the other boxers. Yeah, but it's getting people interested. And at the end of the day, it gets people views. Conor McGregor, gone down. Still always going to watch him. Mm-hmm. Gone down in terms of stock. He's talking so much shit with DC, and now he's calling out Michael Bisping and those other things. But that's another topic.
You make a good point, though. Like, I used to think it was not so good for the sport. And I think to agree I was correct in the fact that the more unskilled fighters were more popular than the skilled fighters. And the skilled fighters that had been grinding all day were getting outdrawn by celebrities, which shouldn't be correct. But is it good for the sport like boxing hasn't done this stuff before?
Yeah.
Well, it's always been like this.
Yeah.
Boxing's still the sweet science and things like that.
Yeah,
and it looks like the Paul brothers are like learning, and I think Jake is obviously way better than Logan, in terms of not his personality. Logan's seems like a better bloke, but Jake is the better boxer for sure. Tyron doesn't have a lot of time in order to move into this route. Has he been boxing for a while? Yeah. He's been boxing people for a long time. It's a serious opponent for Jake, to be honest. I mean, the kid's got balls on him, But the thing is, I think Tyron will beat Paul. And I think in any way. I think knockout, decision. The longer it goes, everyone keeps saying the longer it goes just because Tyron's some muscly guy. I don't see Tyron gassing.
No.
I don't. He's gone to the 5th round tons of times. He's got a gas tank. He's actually quite a reserved fighter. We know that, but we know that he can turn it on and he can turn it off. If the right Tyron comes there on fight day, he will fucking destroy Jake. But it's mainly, will he be switched on? And I think he will. I think Tyron has been in some of the biggest fights ever, right? The biggest one would probably be his fight against Stephen Thompson at UFC 205. And then there's, his fight with Kamaru. And yes, like that didn't go so well. He's 39 years old. He's a little bit shorter than Jake. But I just, honestly, I don't think Tyron is lacking the boxing experience as much as you may think. Like, he's been doing boxing for a long period of time and boxing actual professional boxers. I think it is mainly because the physicality is always there. Tyron, look at him, he's fucking jacked. He probably came with a wound with 30-inch biceps or something, right? So I think it's all mental. I think if the right Tyron turns up and he's switched on and he's ready,
yeah,
I think he'll fucking obliterate Jake.
Yeah, I reckon you're right about it being mental because we talked about his last fights and we thought he was becoming a little bit gun shy, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But then again, that's when you're up against guys who've been fighting since birth. Jake Paul's a guy who's been fighting for 4 years or 5 years or whatever. But that's not enough compared to how much experience Tyron Woodley has had in terms of also striking abilities. And the guys he's got up against, like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, for Christ's sake, you know what I mean? Like, he's one of the god-tier strikers in the UFC.
I mean, to be fair, Tyron, they keep talking about Tyron being a striker. Wrestler.
Yeah.
With power.
Yeah.
That's all. Like Daniel Cormier, wrestler. Did he knock out Stipe Miocic? Fuck yeah, he did.
Yeah.
You know why? Power. Is that make him a striker? Fuck no. So, no, we're not under there. A lot of people, that's what the way they're spinning it. Oh, yeah, he's had a lot of experience in striking. He's done training for striking. Usually it's the overhand right hand, maybe a check left hook, but it's mainly been wrestling he dominates people with, and he's got fucking power if need be. I think conditioning's there. I think drive's there. The main thing is just the right Woodley coming up on that night. And I think whoever pissed off Tyron Woodley's mum, you have fucked that right up for Jake. Because if there was anything to get Woodley involved and actually get him fired up, like, emotionally, it was that. You know, it sounds like a Michael Chiesa moment, to be honest.
Yeah.
Don't talk about my mom. Don't ever talk about my mom.
Yeah, that was that was I kept seeing that meme for every time.
Yeah, that's why I kept saying as well. Yeah.
You know, because Tyron Woodley's sister was right there when someone said it or something like that. You know,
She went up to them. She went,
yeah,
all right, let's go.
yeah.
Let's go then.
I mean, respect that, but it's going to be a Monday morning for us, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's the same way they did it with
Logan Paul. Floyd.
Because Floyd wanted it to be Super Bowl weekend, as in the Sunday, right? So that everyone could watch it. Because mainly all the fights in America would be Sunday for us, Saturday for them.
Yeah.
So what they'll do is they'll put it on the Monday for us, which should be Sunday for them. And that means we get to enjoy it. Because we get to see fights on Sunday for us. We get to see the UFC, and then there's a separate day. And that means they're not really competing for streams.
Mm-hmm.
It means it gets the same audience, just at a different time frame to watch it.
Yeah.
Smart marketing, because the UFC fight night, no, it's free on ESPN. So they've got their cash ready to go for Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley. I actually think this sells really well.
I think it does.
Because they've got
Tommy Fury
against Anthony Pretty Boy Taylor.
Okay.
I believe Taylor, he's been in Bama before.
Really?
I think I've seen him fight against that Dean Barry, that Irish MMA fighter.
Really?
He might have been in Bellator. I think it's Bama I'm thinking of. And then you've got a bunch of fighters here and there that are like decent names as well. But it does set, like, what they've done is set it up real well. Like, whoever with Jake's done very well, and so Showtime done very well with picking this event particular, because if Tyron wins, he can go fight Jay Leon Love, which was the guy like that was talking shit to him before. If Jake Paul wins, he can go fight Tommy Fury, who was on the prelims to start with. Yeah. So that they already have beef with each other. It sets it up well. So for the real winner is Showtime, to be fair, and us, because we got to watch it.
Yeah.
But the best man wins. I just think my official prediction is Tyron Woodley beats Jake Paul, I think by decision.
I'm gonna get so much crap for this.
You're gonna say knocks out Tyron, aren't you?
No, I'm gonna go with decision.
You're gonna go with decision?
I think what will happen is they'll go decision, and then every single Jake Paul hater will go, if whenever they've watched the fight or not, we'll call it rigged.
Well, I mean, I don't, and I won't agree with that. But to be fair, like, the reason why I go decision is I reckon Tyron will be able to land on Jake, and then let's say the right Tyron gets to the ring and stays in the ring, right? Tyron can knock around Jake, but most likely, and because we know boxing's not the fairest of sports, they're not really going to want Jake to lose. Jake's got the marketing ability. He's able to talk, and his last 3 fights against non-boxers, he's been able to talk the talk and walk the walk. So they're probably not going to want him to lose. Could Tyron fucking flash KO Jake? Maybe, but we've only seen him in 4-ounce gloves. 39 years old, power's not really going to go anywhere. He's going to have more power at his natural weight because he won't have to cut. There's a lot of questions. My safe bet is decision.
Yeah.
And if Jake takes a round, Jake takes a round. But Tyron Woodley, I reckon, beats him by unanimous decision.
Yeah. I think that's about good.
Yeah.
I think that's a good, about calls it. Thank you for listening, guys. We just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Hempcan Labs. Go onto our website, use our code LSP. And guys, also follow us on social media. We've got some big interviews for next week. And we also, next time we will potentially be talking, it will be our 100th episode.
Exactly. Again, with our sponsor, use a discount code LSP for 10% off all their products. So they're specialized in CBD oil, CBD infused coffee and gummies and things like that. Brilliant for inflammation, anxiety, recovery and sleep and things like that. So if you want to take your rest and your recovery to the next level, head over to Hempcan Labs. click the link in the description, use our code LSP for 10% off, and enjoy some cheaper products. Thanks, guys.